Hello everyone and welcome back to Planet Zoo. I'm Magikev and this is part 2 of episode 6. So it's part 2 of filling the aviary for Mission Zoo. So in this episode we're going to be getting in the flamingos and cassowaries and making it an actual aviary. Because what's an aviary without birds? Not an aviary. So we're starting here with the flamingos. I added Gloria to her habitat and I used her to determine what I needed to put in. And I'm starting with terrain paint and rocks before finishing the barrier off with steel mesh in a concrete base, which is one of my favorite custom barriers. And I'm checking Gloria's traversable area to make sure that those rocks over in the corner are enough to act as part of the fence. I know that many animals can probably just climb right over the rocks, but the way that the routing works in Planet Zoo, you can make some really natural looking barriers with just rocks and they can't really go past it. For plants, I'm using tropical foliages inside the greenhouse / aviary and some drought tolerant plants outside of it. And inside I'm using coconut palm, banana, fountain bamboo, tamarind, custard apple sunk down to look like shrubby ground cover, elephant ear, a tree fern and some staghorns attached to the tamarind tree. I also put the remaining habitat items in here next to the path to bring animals right up to the fence inside, because in an aviary, you'd be pretty close to the birds. And outside, I used a giant rainbow eucalyptus, some nettles in places weeds would probably grow, and some papyrus in the water before finishing off the rocks and adding the roof back. And the flamingo habitat is done, and it was really quick. So these two habitats were so much simpler than the monkey one from part 1, meaning we can get through 2 habitats in 1 episode, which is really great. So I started the cassowary habitat by covering the concrete walls with rock cladding. The vision I had was for them to be in like a really rocky area and kind of give the vibe of like almost like an inaccessible little like enclave slash alcove within like this like super dense like rocky area. And I thought it would be cool to have people kind of just looking through like a gap in this big pile of rocks to see the cassowaries, like almost like the cassowaries were just like in like this hidden like glen type of area, I guess. One of the things I really like about this habitat is the use of the ditch up front to prevent the cassowaries from getting to the fence. I think after the terrain paint, it came out very realistic looking. And I think that this exhibit as a whole is just very plausible looking. Like, I feel like you could very well see this sort of very enclosed, cozy nook type thing in an actual zoo, which isn't something I'd say for many of the habitats I've made in the past. I feel like a lot of habitats do tend to look really nice and pretty and stuff within Planet Zoo, but they may not be something you'd actually see in a real zoo. Like I said, I feel like this one could actually be one of those. Cassowaries live in Australia's rainforest, so they're used to quite a bit of cover from tropical plants. We can't get that outside in Mission Zoo's arid environment, but we can do it on the indoor section of the greenhouse. So just like the monkeys, I'm using large logs as mock tree trunks, and I'm using an overturned log in the corner. And for plants, I'm using foxtail palm, banana, bird's nest fern, staghorns, Australian fan palms, and custard apple that are sunken into the ground for like a shrubby ground cover. I also placed some enrichment and feeding items. And for the outside plants, I had to go back to plants that can take dry conditions. So I used rainbow eucalyptus, fountain bamboo, staghorn, century plant, and scalova. And I really love the way that the scalova looks growing in between all of the rocks. And to finish, I'm adding a few more habitat items, water and a ball, and then putting the roof back on. And with the cassowary exhibit done, I will say that I also ended up finalizing the aviary as a whole. So on the inside of the aviary, we have these tall extended planters right under these sort of skylights, and they just have some tropical plants in them, and there's benches at the base of them. I also ended up throwing a good deal of education boards in here, just in these empty spots on the walls. So they're all different, and I think combined with the education boards on the bathroom from episode 5, we have all of the education topics in the zoo here at this point. But I mean, I will have to place more throughout the zoo anyway as we keep expanding. So, yep. I also ended up adding the animals into the exhibits on the outside. I keep like interchanging habitats and exhibits. I'm used to playing Zoo Tycoon as a kid, and they were all just called exhibits because they didn't have these little cube type things, or these terrariums rather. So yeah, if that's gonna get confusing here. So these are the exhibits in Planet Zoo, and yes, I filled them. And this one has Western Diamondback rattlesnake in it, and then over here on this side we have the desert scorpions and Gila monsters or Gila monsters. And these setups are I'll go around to the other side so you can see the other two animals we have in here. But the setup on the exhibits is not the best. It's very basic right now because everything is still waiting to be fully researched, but I have them as high with welfare as I can get them at this point. We have the Eastern brown snake, I think it's called. Yeah, Eastern brown snake. And then on this side, we have the Eastern blue-tongued lizard. And I have quite a bit of researching. What? Okay, we're starting. I have quite a bit of researching to do on a lot of the exhibit animals and the rest of the aviary animals as well. But it's what, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, there's 8 types of animals in this one building, so it's definitely going to take a while to fully research all of them. I think I only have like 3 vets. So yeah, that's sort of like the finalization of the outside and the inside of the aviary. So let's get to the big ones. Here's the inside of the flamingo exhibit, or the flamingo habitat rather. I need to stop doing that. They have their little greenhouse section, and then they have their little shelter, traditional shelter with the entrance to the habitat here. Let's unpause the game so we can see them in action. And they can come out here to their outdoor area. And they have their little pond. And I think it looks really good. I think it's, once again, it's not the most realistic thing. Like, I think I could have done better on the water, but for some reason the flamingos need a lot of rock in their terrain. Which also brings me to their welfare. Their welfare is, what is that, 96%? Their welfare is very good. So I guess they're just pressed for a swimming area, but I don't care that much. 96 welfare, you guys can deal with a cramped swimming area. So here's an overview. I think it's the most extensive habitat within the aviary. They have this big swath here, this water here, viewing area on this side, but then also next to that monkey shelter over here, we have a viewing area for them from this vantage point. Very nice. I like it. I really like the flamingo habitat. There's nothing really special about it, but I think it's really nice. I do like the feature of the hill over here, though. It's like a kind of just like a continuation of the Aardvark hill over here, almost like it was cut through to put the path down. Yeah, so okay, let's move over to the cassowary exhibit. Habitat, I mean, the cassowary habitat. So, outside, this is, like I said earlier, easily it's my favorite habitat that I have made yet. And what do the guests think about it? Baby southern cassowary, the cutest. Okay, so the guests had a positive take on the exhibit. The cassowaries aren't too far away for them to see. And if they are too far away out here, then they can just go inside. I really like the way the ditch came out, as I said earlier too. And yeah, they just have this really spacious sort of like rocky grotto. Grotto's maybe not the right word, but you get what I mean. A rocky alcove. And yes, they had babies. So there are little baby cassowaries in here. As far as their welfare goes, they're a little bit pressed when it comes to space. But that's just because they had kids. The kids ruined everything. Yeah, they just had kids, so the habitat's very good on space with the 2 adult cassowaries. So as soon as the kids grow up, we'll get them out, and that should be okay. But even with that space issue, well, 75%, that's not good, but I'm done. I'm not gonna really revisit it. Let's go inside. Once again, we have these like trees, or these like cut off tree looking things with rancid food. We have the cut off tree looking things with the epiphytes all over them. They have this nice little sort of like forest floor area that they can come into, attached to their shelter, just like the flamingo and monkey side. They have the door to the shelter here. Oh, one of them's relaxing in here. Yeah, so view from the inside. I made these nifty little education / donation stations. They're very, I just use a lot of like the Australian pieces because they fit so well with like the arid mission theme. So lots of viewing space in here, and the cassowaries do end up coming to the food enrichment quite a bit, so the guests really get to be close in here to the cassowaries when they come in. So that's it. That's the aviary complete. It was a lot of work because it was 8 animals, as I said before. But I'm very happy with the way that it turned out, and I can finally move on to some other things. That being facilities. A little preview for next episode. I have a restaurant that I had pre-made and I plopped in here, and the main issue that my guests have is like hunger and thirst at this point. So, you know, after getting 3 habitats and 5 exhibits in this one building, I think it really is time to just like focus on the guests. So that's next episode. So once again, thank you for clicking, and I hope you're enjoying the Mission Zoo series. If you like what you see, make sure that you subscribe or like or both, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.